Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. It's my own, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
Well, hey there, good people. We are back for another episode of the real journey of entrepreneurship. If you have been following us, you know that in this space, we like to welcome those who are willing to share their truth about the space of what it's really like to be a full-time, part-time entrepreneur. Because as I always say, in this space is not for the faint of heart. One of the things that I am learning as I am on this journey is that it does require a lot of consistency. It does require taking care of yourself. And I'll also say drinking lots and lots of water to keep your mind flushed and your body moving well. My name is Anita Pearson. I'm the host of The Real Journey of the Entrepreneurship. I welcome you today. And guess what? I am not alone. I am bringing along a wonderful guest that is in the space of professional development, arts, health, and fitness. And no, that's not me. It's not me. But I am bringing along EM Arts, the CEO and executive director of Arts and Education and Wellness. Emory M. Moore Jr. is going to be with us today, and we're going to jump right in. Hello there.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've got the requisite amount of caffeine, and I'm ready to go.
Caffeine and my water, a good combination. So, Emory, tell us about your organization and what you do and the impact that you are bringing to this space.
Well, I like to think that we're kind of unique in that we are arts and wellness, and we don't see really a differentiation between the two. So predominantly, we offer professional development and direct services. The PD's professional development are centered around wellness for the staff. And we are in the education space, which means that we service the 5 boroughs, and we're in K through 12 generally, even though we also don't have limitations in terms of doing collegiate, but our mainstay is K through 12. We are a contracted vendor with the Department of Education. We work extensively with the Department of Health, with Healthy Schools Brooklyn and other initiatives as we continue to move forward. Our direct services are teaching directly to the students, where we bring arts education in its myriad forms. And as I said, we don't really differentiate between the effect of wellness and arts. We believe to be a whole person that art is necessary for the development of a whole human being. I started the company, this iteration, roughly 12, 13 years ago, doing a professional development for a charter school. And they wanted me to teach them how to integrate movement, kinesthetic, into the lesson plan. and they had so many pathologies and so many limitations to being able to do that. I said, well, we need to address you first. We need to address your health first. We need to bring you to a point where you are healthy enough to be able to do this kind of facilitation. And after the program was over, they asked me if I wanted to take over their classes for the school. They had like 42 classes a week for their students. And so I hired a couple of my instructors, and then we grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And now we're in the 5 boroughs, and we offer any and every kind of art that one could imagine. We also do spa days for the staff where we send massage therapists and acupuncturists in to do the whole staff. We'll also do parents workshops and spa days and spoiling things for them, as well as constructive professional development based on what the culture of the school needs.
Mm.
Everything we do is need based and based on what the school leaders express to us is their primary need. So everything is custom. There's no one size fits all.
Wow. Okay, so where do I begin? I want to begin with the combination and the distinct how you distinguish arts and wellness. Why do you believe that the combination is important for the type of work and also the participants within your target market?
Well, I would have to go back into my background. I'm one of the first personal trainers in the US and responsible. I'm a pioneer in fitness in the US, Germany, and Switzerland. And in the early 80s and what have you, we didn't have a uh, fitness as a vocation. It didn't exist. It was in its infancy. And so I was one of the first. And I
Mm,
was able to help to develop curriculum and protocols for what you see today. And I was instrumental to start teaching teachers how to do what I do. And my background is very diverse in one respect, and in another, it's very uniform. I don't see the individual disciplines as being separate. I see them being like fingers on a hand.
mm,
For instance, if you are doing body work, the effect of doing body work or massage therapy is very close to the effect of stretching. So you need to master both if you really want to be able to help people with circulation issues and range of motion issues, etc. So as I trained and deepened my study with the masters, um, opportunities opened up for me to be able to teach, and I took my teaching abroad, um, doing a work with the London School of Sports Massage and working with the Olympic team briefly, and then doing things all over Germany and Switzerland. So basically, I'm an artist. There's no hard and fast rule as to how one applies the principles. When I teach, it's about using the vocabulary of movement to apply the principles that are necessary to help people. And I'm very wary of people who have a one size fits all approach. I've studied dance, I've studied martial art, I've studied yoga, I've studied a lot of different disciplines um, for 10, 20, 30 years. And one day you wake up and you realize it's all the same.
mm.
The discipline you need to become a great painter is the same discipline you need to take care of yourself. The discipline you need to become a great dancer is the same discipline you need to be a great human being. The passion that one has when you get up early and you stay up late because you want to, when you work at something to achieve excellence because you're driven to do so because of your love of that art, that is an intangible that is worth its weight in gold. It's worth more than gold. Many people don't have uh, motivation to be excellent.
Mm.
They don't have motivation to do self care. They don't have motivation. And without that, it's a very key component because when you think about wellness in its true form, it's not a stationary thing and it's not a temporary thing. You can be well from ages 20 to 30, and then 31, you fall apart. So, at any given time in your life, these things are necessary. These are lifelong disciplines. And so the arts are lifelong disciplines. There's no um, limit to artistic development, and there's no limit to the pursuit of taking care of yourself. And I mean that in a holistic manner, mind, body, and spirit. The spirit is an essential component of it. And for me, it's necessary to have that kind of faith in the divine and to be inspired above what humanity offers, because then we can see righteousness, we can see a pathway through the difficulties that life is inevitably going to give us.
Okay. This is
Does
a
that
good.
make sense?
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I so the conversation that we're having is new in terms of combining, but how you just described it just opened up like a whole new thought pathway for me in terms of wellness, and connecting, that is an ongoing discipline. I find that to be really fascinating. Now, my next question is your impact that you're having within the schools and the parents that you are serving. I understood and heard that you have in business for some time.
Yes.
Now, what does that look like in terms of, let's say year 3 of you working with a group within a school and their parents? What does that look like in terms of impact? Because you're talking true holistic overall wellness that is impacting not just, from what I heard, the individual, but their families and essentially starting to trickle into the community.
Well, again, I don't differentiate. Um, if you have a student who you have educated to eat better, uh, do meditation, um, take care of themselves, and the parents are not on board, how far is that going to go?
Mm,
You've just created turmoil in the house. You haven't created peace and harmony. And if you have a staff in the school that is trying to mitigate vocational pathologies, trying to take care of themselves, trying to basically change the school culture so that it's healthier, so that the staff doesn't die on site, and the school leader is not on board, how far is that going to go? So you need that vertical. And the whole idea of going to school, education is the foundation for our society. We spend more time in school really than you do in any other pursuit for the most part, especially if you go for higher education. People can be in school from age 3, 4 years old into in their 20s and sometimes even longer. That's a long time.
mhm,
And what is it for? Why are we doing that? It's the underpinning of society. I'm talking about true education. I'm not talking about indoctrination.
mm.
I'm
There you
talking about teaching people
yeah.
how to think critically, um, be moral, be good people, um, be positive participants in this grand experiment. And so when we're talking about doing a piece of the community, that's not really that helpful.
Mm,
So in year 3, what we were trying to do, aside from survive, because we were an organization that needs money,
mhm.
year 3, we were actually expanding quite a bit. The first 5 years, it was barely, um, we were barely able to keep up with demand.
So wait a minute. You're telling me you're not a overnight success? That is that what you what you're telling me? It's not. It didn't happen yesterday. It happened quite a while.
But see,
Quite.
again, I'll go back to the arts. I teach teachers how to do what I do.
Mhm.
And when I was doing Pilates technique, I was one of the people. I've trained with two people who trained with Joseph
Mhm.
Hubertus Pilates, who was actually the person who founded the system after his name.
Oh, nice.
When I first started doing Pilates, in order for you to become a teacher, you had to have been training in the system for several years. Then one of your teachers would look over and say, "Hey, I would like for you to be in the training program." Then, after you were in the training program, which also took several years, they would say, "Hey, I would like to have you start working with clients, and we will observe you in that processes." And that could take an additional year or what have you. And then finally, you were considered to give the nod to be a teacher of the system and go out on your own.
Mm.
So we're already looking at a 5 to 10 year process. So I did several of those, and I've been studying since I was a kid, basically. And there's no art and no system that I know of that you can have any relevance in any capacity or capability in whatsoever that doesn't take years.
Mm.
Or as I tell my teachers, you don't know anything until you've been studying pretty much every day for 10 years.
Mhm.
10 years is normally the block of time in which I look at you and think you know what you're doing on a baseline. In Chinese martial arts, we say you have to do something 10,000 times before you reach a level of mastery.
Mm.
And these things are very, very important because you're affecting people's lives. You know, the interesting thing about exercise and movement technique is I can train you in, let's say, 1980 or 19, let's say 1990. If I train you in 1990, train you for a year, you go off, I go off. If I didn't put you on the right track, if the base I gave you wasn't correct, if the technique was improperly incorporated, in 2005, 2010, 2015, you can start to become injured from the things that you did previously. So it's like, think about a plant. When you put a plant in the ground, if you put a tree in the ground, you know, you see all those new trees they put up in New York City is a perfect example.
Mhm.
How you put that tree in the ground and what you do for it initially makes all the difference. Are the roots going to tear the sidewalk up? Is the tree going to even survive? If it does survive, is it going to thrive or is it barely hanging on? And all that has to do with how we, the base. You stand on your base in every single system. I don't care if it's mathematics, I don't care if it's applied physics, doesn't matter what it is, painting, dance, theater, poetry, anything. I don't care if you're a sanitation worker, you stand on the base. You stand on the basic things that we learn, and people who are experts are masters of the basics. And so if your basics aren't right, if the root isn't correct, or as we like to say, you can't get good fruit. You can't get good fruit from a bad tree.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was helpful.
No, that was super helpful. Um, and I like the emphasis on, really understanding the systems, um, making sure that you really are intentionally mastering the basics because to your point, you are impacting the lives of other souls. Um,
Absolutely.
and when I think about that and thinking about, as we are doing the work that each of us are gifted to do within these spaces. Some of the things that um, are arise for me as follow up deals with um, your legacy. and what do you want that to look like? Because based upon our brief discussion and looking at your background, you have been doing this for quite some time. And so, what is the legacy that you would like to um, leave for those who are coming in contact with you and
Mm.
those who will be around after?
Well, um, that's a big question, but I will simplify it.
Hmm.
I'm a Falun Dafa practitioner, which is a practice in the Buddhist school or Buddhist way, and we believe in truth, compassion, and forbearance. And for me, the most impact I can ever make on somebody, particularly a young person, is how to be a good person, morality, um, and hopefully to inspire them to have a healthy respect for the divine and their place in the cosmos, to understand that we are part of nature, not some kind of aberration that's outside of it that we can run roughshod over it and do as we will.
Hmm.
And that just because somebody isn't looking doesn't mean that you can do something that's inappropriate. That shouldn't be in your heart. We should want to be good. We should want to do good because that feels good and that's the best. Doing for others, there's no greater joy than I have than being of service to other people. That's what turns me on. And as a teacher, there's no greater joy than seeing you get it. It's not about me. Again, I go back to when I started teaching teachers in the 80s, exercise, in health clubs and what have you. I fired many teachers initially because they were performing, they weren't teaching.
Hmm.
I was like, you're in the front of the room. How many times did you even correct anyone in the room? Did you even notice that they were even remotely following along or getting what it was? Do you even have something that you're sharing or you're just taking up space? And so for me, what's most important is that we have things of value that we pass on to our communities, that we help people. And I just happen to be in the wellness movement, arts. And I think those are integral things to society, and particularly because most of humanity lives in cities. And as a result of modernization, it has created a buffer between humanity and the natural life. Those of us who spend a lot of time in the woods, in the mountains, I'm also, my favorite thing is mountain climbing, mountaineer. Um, Winter, summer, fall doesn't matter to me. I like to be in nature. And so when you spend a lot of time in nature, I think you get a healthy respect for um, where our place is in the cosmos, and you get to see the natural order, and things make sense to me when I'm in the forest. Things don't make sense for me when I'm in a city.
Okay, I have a follow-up question, but I'm gonna ask a question before my other question. Um, as a master of your subject, how would you suggest that an entrepreneur overcome their doubt within their own skills?
Well, um, there should be some external qualification of one's level. When your peers say you're a master, that's generally when you are. And so I say that to say that if you have doubt, is it justified or not? Is the first thing you need an assessment, an objective assessment. So you need to be able to have mentors and mentees. Nobody's in this alone. No one ever accomplishes anything great alone, even good alone. We don't do anything alone. It's just a total illusion to think that we do. That's why we have cities, villages, towns. We're all interconnected. So you need to have people around you, hopefully, who know more than you do. I'm big on the mentor mentee relationship. That's my favorite learning model, hands down. I think that's part of the weakness of the structure we have right now in schools. And we do have educators who can serve as that for young people, but a lot of times it isn't set up that way. And so it's more, there are obstacles to that processes. And also just having older people in your life, in your community, who you can go to and ask these life questions, because they didn't get older for no reason. There's wisdom. People have lived through extraordinary things. And it's really important to have those on tap, where you can have somebody who you say, hey, I'm having doubts about XYZ. My team, I'll go to my team. Hey, I'm having doubts about XYZ. Because I think if you always walk around with the thought that you have no doubt and that you can completely do things, it's probably you're either hubris, your ego is amazingly large, you might be lying to yourself, or you're just crazy. I don't know anyone who no doubts whatsoever. You listen to Elon Musk talk about, he was one rocket away from being on the breadline. I mean, that was real. That wasn't fake. He took everything he had and put it in his company. He didn't have to do that. He had enough money to never work again. But instead, he was like, you know what? I This is what I want to do with my life. And that requires taking chances. And you think that I haven't been in the mountains and it's 20 below zero, and I've gotten lost sometimes, and you're like, did I bite off more than I could chew? It's the same thing with a company. Your house is on the line. Maybe your friends or family have invested, people who know you, people who work with you. COVID-19 hit. I had to tell 48 people they didn't have a job.
Mm.
48 people
Wow.
who respected me and who I cared about. And then the 49th person was me. I had to tell me I didn't have a job. You know how hard that is?
Mm.
Of course, doubts crept up. My first business, we made it 5 years and then we had an economic downturn.
Mm.
But my training in the arts, never give up. My spiritual training, never give up. My adversity training from just living in the growing up in the hood, never give up. How are you going to accomplish something? You never give up. You might be 2 millimeters from the finish line and give up. My philosophy is, if you intend to give up, don't start the endeavor.
Mm.
Look at all the effort you would have saved yourself if you just didn't do it. But if you decide that it's worth doing, then don't quit. And when I say don't quit, there are indicators, like when I had to close my first business, basically the judge had to tell me, you got to go.
Mm.
So there are other things where, but I didn't give up. And as we get wiser, we start to learn when there are times when we need to pivot or shift or change, but it doesn't mean you stop. If that's really something that you believe is worth it, you have to understand, is it worth it? Because you're gonna go through hell and high water to achieve anything. And if you don't, I don't care who you are. We have this weird perception in our mind that getting something for nothing, I call it the lotto mentality. My cousin's constantly talking about playing the lotto, playing the lotto. I was like, if you hit the lotto tomorrow, what are you going to do? Oh, well, I'll go here, I'll go there. I was like, well, you got 2 jobs,
Mm.
you got money in the bank. How about this? Why don't you just buy a ticket? If nobody will go with you, I'll go with you. Where do you want to go? She wants to go to Grand Canyon. Okay. So I start sending her stuff on the Grand Canyon. Let's go. Let's go.
Mm.
But there is nothing, and people who win the lotto, 75% of them die in poverty and miserable. Why? Because you didn't earn it.
Mm.
What are you going to do with money you didn't earn? You don't even understand money.
Mm.
If you drink a little bit, you drink too much. If you like the girls, You're gonna have too much. Somebody's gonna mess you up. If you like the ponies and gambling, you're gonna mess. It's gonna whatever your little chink in your armor is. When you have a lot of money, it's gonna be a big chink, and it may be the one that kills you. But when you earn it, you have to understand it. You have to understand money and entrepreneurship. And as your wealth increases, as your net increases, as you watch your company grow, it's a processes by which you can understand what to do with the resources that you worked so hard to accrue. If I got $100 million right now, I would know exactly what to do with it.
Me too. Me
But
too.
if I had gotten that when I was 25, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd have
Mm,
probably been dead by 26.
mm. Wow. So my other question deals with your deep connection with nature. So as I see you, um, without making any assumptions,
Hmm.
you appear to be a black person that's doing
Most
quite
of the time.
most of the time that's doing quite adventurous things. So, I mean, I the only thing that I've done that I can say that is really I want to say out of culture is I went skydiving twice. And when I did it, it was, because I saw someone else who looked like me do it in my church at the time, but
Hmm.
I would never do that again. But I will try other things. So your connection with nature is
Hmm.
fascinating, right? Because oftentimes, taking walks for me helps me, clear my mind.
Hmm.
Um, but I found that you said that you were in the mountains.
Hmm.
And that's fascinating to me because I'm not sure what that experience is like. Do you mind sharing?
Well, I've climbed many mountains, and I've been in the Alps. I've been in the Adirondacks. Here is my favorite. I call it
Mm,
God's playground. Um, I don't know how many mountains I've summited. Um, my favorite is summiting them in the winter because I love the ice and snow.
mm,
Um, I taught myself to ski maybe 10, well, not taught myself, but I took lessons, but pretty much I was, on my own because I would just go into the back country and just fool around. I love solo hiking. I love going into the woods by myself, particularly in the wintertime when it's so peaceful. You can hear the snowflakes hit the ground. Um, but you would have buckle up for this one because I'm not a PC kind of guy, so I'm just gonna come right out with it. There's nothing outside of culture for me. I grew
mm.
up in Bed-Stuy, do or die, and I don't like rules. And I'm a free man. I don't have shackles on my mind. So that's why I can do those things. I don't need to see someone who looks like me do something for me to do it.
Got
I
it.
grew up with John Wayne and whoever else was on TV. And if I saw John Wayne do it and I wanted to do it, I just went and did it. I
Mm,
went out west, 4 states, Moab, Grand Canyon. I hiked down into the Grand Canyon. I never saw anybody like me go hiking down the Grand Canyon. I never saw anybody hike down into the Grand Canyon. I didn't really care. I wanted to see what it looked like. And from the rim, you can't see the Grand Canyon.
mm,
So I went. I never knew anybody who moved to Germany, but I was living in England and it was advantageous for me to go to Germany because one of my teachers was there, invited me to come make some money. I got on my motorcycle, drove over. I had never taken my motorcycle on a ferry before. I had never driven through Belgium before, but I had a map. How hard can it be?
mm,
What's the big deal? You drive here, you drive there. So my thing is, I would say people need to take the shackles off their mind. Our people need to take the shackles off their mind and stop with this. Oh, I need to see somebody else who looks like me. Do for what purpose? First of all, second thing is historically, if you want to take the time, it doesn't take much time to investigate that people of African descent have been involved in every major expedition, every major um, quote unquote discovery. Often we were on the ships, we were navigators or very instrumental. This country was wilderness
Mhm.
when folks came over. When the Chinese were building railroads, it was wilderness. When Africans who were slaves at the time, I'm not going to say enslaved because when you're enslaved, it's called being a freaking slave.
Mhm.
So people who were slaves of African descent were very much in the wilderness. Obviously, a lot of Africa still to this day is not developed. So it's not that we don't have a culture of being outside. It's just that we have forgotten because we have been in cities for so long. But I had Boy Scouts when I was a kid. We went hiking. I liked it. We used to go down south when we were kids and visit my family. They had a farm. I liked it. I didn't like wearing shoes. So I don't wear shoes. I don't even wear socks in the wintertime half the time. My mother's always like, I can't believe you don't have on shoes. It's like, it's your fault. You shouldn't have had me grow up like this as a kid. My brother to this day will walk out in the street in Bed-Stuy with no shoes on, go across the street to the store, won't think nothing of it. It's just, I don't have shackles on my mind.
Mm.
You know, I've been body surfing in Ipanema. I've been, I've had driven my motorcycle over 100 miles an hour on the Autobahn. I've been, in the Force 10 gales crossing the channel on ships. I've been off the coast of France sailing. I mean, I personally would never go skydiving
Mm.
because I don't like things where I call that a light switch principle. I don't like things where it's either on or off because you jump out, either the chute opens or it don't. I like rock climbing because you have many options if something goes awry. So just so you know, for me, it's not a cultural phenomenon. It's a nah, I don't think so. So I applaud you.
I will not. So I have a child now. I will never. Uh, I won't do it out of a plane. But we've done the. This is like the indoor one because she saw me do it. I showed her the video of it, and I want to do it. I'm like, oh, like okay. So we're indoors. We're indoors. But I just think that that's really. You had some. Like I didn't know what to expect from this conversation, but it's inspired me differently. And I'm hoping that the entrepreneurs that are listening are going to listen to this episode will really take away some key points. But in wrapping up, which I actually don't want you to go, but I know that we have, other things that we have to do. Do you have any advice for young artists aspiring to start their business?
So the quick and dirty is um, I don't think everyone should start a business. I don't think everyone's cut out for it. Um, I think it's one of the hardest things you can do. The
Mhm,
failure rate is ridiculous. Um, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut.
mhm,
Then I went on one of them rides on Coney Island that spins you around, and I threw up my guts. And I realized I can't be an astronaut because when I saw them doing the training, they put them in that little centrifuge and flipped them around. And I was just watching them saying to myself, oh no. So that's the same thing. There are people, when I went on that ride, they were having the greatest time in their life and they looked like they were at home. They should be astronauts. So I think that each of us has their own proclivity. It's kind of like in an ant hive. Everybody's got the things that they really kind of, like my brother can take apart something and put it together and he always wanted to drive a truck. He really, since he was 2 years old, wanted to drive a truck. That was his thing. So now he drives trucks. He's happy. Me, that would make me happy. So I think that we need plumbers, we need electricians, we need sanitation. The dude who fixes man Hancock Street in Brooklyn, will they ever fix it? We need people who, when they go to fix a street, it stays fixed. I
mm,
know it's possible. I just haven't seen it happen in New York City. So my point is, if you wake up and you can't shake it, and you can't just, you're just like, I gotta do this. I can't. If you up at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m., making your plans, and it won't go away, and you're like, I have to do this, then yeah, you should jump on it. You should also try to find yourself mentors. Find people who have done it before. Find people who you can trust, who will be honest with you and tell you, yes, this is a good idea. No, that's a terrible idea. Yes, this is a maybe. This is a kinda. And shape your decisions based on getting good information. And that does not mean, by the way, that if somebody tells you absolutely heck no, it's not going to work, that if you feel like in your heart it's going to work, that does not mean that you should not try it. It just means that you should be informed. When people first climbed the Eiger, when they first went to do Everest, when they first went to do any endeavor, when they first went, what Edison said, they were asking him something about failure, and he's like, I didn't consider it to be failure. It just took me 99 times to figure it out. He wasn't failing, he was figuring it out. So, but you have to know that intrinsically that it's gonna be hard. And speaking to people who've done it before, at least you can get an idea of what you're in for. So you can buckle up. So you can try to be prepared as much as you could. Any kind of a adventure activity or whatever, you want to be prepared. You don't want to go in the desert with shorts on, no hat, half a liter of water. You want to go prepared because it's hot. It's arduous. There's no shade. So you want to be ready. And then it's up to you, you know, what, what's inside, because it's going to test you. I say the business can make you a better person if you let it.
Mm.
If you let it, it can make you a better person. And also, if you really, really, really want it, don't quit. But don't be stupid. Don't jump out of a plane without a parachute. At least have two. If you can carry another one in your hand, maybe strap one to your foot, but don't jump out without a parachute. That's just dumb.
Mm.
Don't think you can't be dumb. You can be dumb. People do dumb stuff all the time.
Yep.
And if you can get an enterprise where you can use other folks' capital and mitigate the risk to yourself personally, I think that's also great. But most of those activities, the bottom baseline is that when you start to generate sales, that's when somebody's going to take you seriously. And the best businesses are the ones that are organically made. If you need a huge amount of capital to get that endeavor started, I'm suspicious that it's going to work.
Mm.
Most of the grand businesses, including Apple and PayPal and you know even Berkshire Hathaway, all these things were started small, granular, and then became something large. And that process is important for the entrepreneur. It's important because if you open I know these guys over here with a cafe, and they've been extremely busy. They've been open for maybe a little bit over a year, and they're expecting like this year to be like boom, because COVID's over, and now folks are coming like hitting them all. They're going to be in there 12 hours a day, and I'm like, you got to be ready for customers. You got to be ready for success. Are you ready for success? What happens if 100 customers show up at your door at once? Are you ready? Because if they show up and they don't have a good experience, they're not coming back. And they're going to tell 900 people not to come back. If 100 show up, they're going to tell 900, don't go there. So you had better be ready for success. Are you ready for success? If 100 schools came to my organization Today, I would make it work, but I've been in business for 12 years and we would phase it in. We would do it in phases. Sure, we'll take 10 at a time, 20 at a time, whatever's feasible to maintain the quality of service. And quality and being excellent is important. It's important for you as a human being. Don't be slack. Don't be slack. Make your bed. Don't be slack. Do it for yourself. Brush your teeth thoroughly because when they start falling out, it's your fault. Nobody else's fault that you didn't take care of yourself. Nobody wants to smell you in a meeting. It's things, it makes a difference. Don't be slack.
Mm.
The little things matter. Little things make big things happen all the time. How many businesses have been started with just somebody out on the street selling something in a stand? This is my last anecdote. There was a guy who used to bother me all the time on the train. This dude annoyed the crap out of me because I came home at the same time and he was always on the freaking train and always seemed to be in my car. If I changed cars, he always seemed to come through the car anyway. And he was selling poetry.
Mm.
And I write a little bit, and I didn't think his poetry was that good. Not to mention the fact that I was like, why would I ever buy a poetry book on the train, dude? Leave me alone. Years passed. I'm reading an article in the New York Times, which don't read the New York Times, read something else. But at the time, I was reading the New York Times. Read the Epoch Times. We're better. But that's EPOCH. But anyway, I see this article, and it's the dude that was on the train. And he's got a book deal with Random House. And they're giving him crazy money as an advance. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And then they say how many millions of copies this guy has sold on the train. Millions. He sold millions of copies of poetry on the train. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? And I used to see people buy it. I didn't think much of it. Like, how much poetry could he be selling? The dude sold millions of copies. And then he gets a book deal from Random House. That is an entrepreneur. He made sure he had sales first. I went out myself to schools. I drew a box from where I was living a mile around and went to those schools first personally. And then another box and another box and another box and another box until we started to get referrals and we moved up the ladder, et cetera, et cetera. The bottom line is I went myself to those schools, often by myself, and said, we are fantastic. Hire us. You would be crazy not to hire us. And they did. And I didn't lie, though. We are fantastic. But if you say you're fantastic and you're not, people will know.
Mm.
Everyone knows. There's a pizza shop near where I live that says it's best pizza. And the first thing you'll see online, that pizza's not the best. Don't put a sign up that says best pizza if your pizza's not the best. Just put okay pizza and you get lots of clients and nobody will complain.
Oh, goodness.
I know, I'm a lot.
No, this is
It's the
perfect.
coffee.
No, it's not the coffee, it's you, and you are definitely inspiring, myself, um, included in this process. But I did have one more question that came up. Um, Passion and purpose, is there a difference for you?
Yeah, passion is the fire. Um, I had a very hard time in school. I was in advanced classes since I was 4. I could read when I was 3, and I had read everything in the library, and then I read most of the books in the adult library that turned me on at that time because I was a big history buff. But
Mhm.
science was my thing. But I didn't know until I was in college that I was an artist. What does that mean? That's how I see the world. I'm a creative. I would sit in class and daydream and doodle and doodle and doodle and doodle and wouldn't even know what the person in front of me was talking about. But it didn't matter because I'd already read the book.
Mm.
But when I got to high school and in college, it became very difficult because my motivation was zero. I couldn't fake it anymore. You couldn't make me be excellent because I didn't understand. I didn't have any justification. Why are you putting this stuff? Why do I have to listen to this? But when I saw the dance building, I was like, oh my God, what magical mystery is going on in there? They're sprinkling pixie dust on themselves. I want some pixie dust. They love what they're doing. And so I was already training in various things, and that was it. I was like, those are my people. We were in the dance building 3, 4 in the morning, stretching, working on getting better. There was no limit to us getting better. We would train. Sometimes I trained so much I passed out. I remember one time I woke up, I was like, oh wow, I must have passed out because I wanted it that bad. 2 o'clock in the morning, I could be walking around my apartment doing choreography for my exercise and movement techniques. I got hard drives full of stuff that I put there from writing and things like that because it turned me on. But the purpose is totally different. What is your purpose? Why are you doing this? You can have a lot of passion, but why are you doing it is very important. I didn't know that I was going to have any kind of a career when I first started to teach exercise in a health club 10 days after college because there was no um, industry to speak of. It was in the formation stages. But I was passionate about what I was doing and couldn't understand what else I would do that would allow me to train 10 hours a day and make a living. So it was a hand in glove fit. And it evolved to my purpose being therapeutic application of exercise and therapy. I worked as a physical therapist. I've done all kinds of things, blah, blah, blah. And my purpose became sharing this knowledge, helping people stay well, be well, recover. Um, and now, as an entrepreneur, obviously, my purpose is to make sure that my company thrives so that the people who work with me can thrive too. And no one works for me. No one works for anybody. That's stupid. Anybody that says they work for no, they don't work for you. They're not working for you. They're working for themselves. So they can feed their families, so they can feed themselves, so they can go and buy an Xbox, whatever turns them on. They work with you if you're lucky. And if you're not lucky, they're working against you, even though you might be paying them. So it's really important to know the difference because I only want people who are working with me on my team. We're working together to accomplish something together. And if we're not, then you can't be on my team. If you just want to get paid, McDonald's is hiring. If you want to just get paid, I'm sure there's another organization that's hiring. I'm positive. Just leave us alone because we want to be working with people who actually believe in our mission. And that's a non negotiable. And it should be for anybody who wants to lead a company because otherwise it's like walking around with those old prison movies where you saw them with a chain around it and a ball on it. That's what
Mhm.
it's like having people working for you
Mhm.
instead of working with you.
Mm.
Because
Oh,
sometimes we fall down and we need folks to catch us.
mm.
The stress and strain of being in charge. Are you kidding me right now?
I know that. I know that. It's yeah.
Many times I sit back and my team just like, Emory, do you mind if? No, no, please go right ahead. you know, I'm sitting there like this, trying to hold my eyeballs open. I'm like, no, 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 no. We need that. We need a team, and it may take you years to get the right people in place. You know, as you were saying before, it's hard, but I tell you, it's for those of us who really, for those of us who are born for it, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, me
If it's not hard, it's not fun.
either.
If it's not dangerous, it's not fun. You got to break a few bones to have a good time.
Mm. And when I heal, you're gonna get a greater version of who I am supposed to be when I heal.
Yeah, you got to keep it moving. If you don't have any scars, and people are like, why you don't have a tattoo? I don't need no daggone tattoos. I got scars all over my bodies. That's my tattoo. I can trace it back to the things. Yeah, I remember when that one. Yeah, remember when that one? Yeah, I remember that one.
Oh goodness. This was great. This was great. This was great. Great conversation.
Thank you. I had fun. Thank you.
I got some wrap-up questions that I usually ask everyone who I interview. What's your favorite borough?
My favorite borough?
Mm,
Brooklyn, of course. That's the center of the universe.
there you go. We're back on the in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Smoothies or ice cream?
Ice cream. Good ice cream, though. Don't play with my ice cream, and it's only chocolate. I only eat chocolate. And it's got to be good ice. It's got to be good ice cream from Happy Cows.
That is good ice cream.
From Happy Cows. If they're not happy, I don't mess with the move.
Do you prefer to wear sneakers or hard bottom shoes?
I rarely wear sneakers or hard balance shoes. I wear sandals even in the wintertime. I like as little footwear as possible because I wear good socks, so I'm always warm. But I like things that make my feet happy. I do have a pair of those Hucka sneakers that are kind of like marshmallows for your feet, but I don't wear them that often.
No, I have no idea. I have no idea what those are.
HOKA. A friend of mine told me I had to get a pair of them because the massage therapists they all wear them because they're standing so much, and I
Uh,
think they wear them now in the hospitals and stuff. And they are like they're like like really like.
so do you prefer pizza or burgers?
Pizza. Good pizza. Again, real mozzarella. Don't play with my cheese. I used to live near Italy, so don't be trying to fake the funk and give me something that doesn't melt and tell me that's mozzarella.
All right. In your downtime, what do you do?
Downtime.
Yeah, in your downtime. You got to create some downtime. Some.
My downtime. I train and I meditate and I set up adventures. I like to go in the woods. I like to climb stuff and swim and ride my bike. And I'm also a big movie person. I do like movies.
See, there you have it. So, Emory, this was awesome. I want to shout out Monty for, securing all the speakers recently. Shout out Monty. But definitely would love to maintain contact. We are going to share where we can find Emory and his team. Please do not hesitate to support EM Arts. I think that this is one of those things that you didn't know that you needed until you had a conversation. And this was
Oh,
one
thank
of
you.
those.
That's
This
really
was
kind of you. Thank you.
really, really positive and just providing me with some different tools. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. Wanted to just also do like a little recap because you dropped some gems. Like I like when we get the gems going. When things get hard, don't give up. If you intend to do something, don't give up. Don't even start it. Like I was like, oh, that hit me in my gut. But I'm already 7 years in, so I know that I'm committed to this process. There is no other option for me
There
right
you
now.
go.
Right now.
Seven's a good number. I was born on the seventh day. I like seven. Seven's a good number.
Of what month? Of
Auspicious.
what month?
January.
January. Okay. All righty. All right. So let's go. When we talked about doubt, because a lot of us, at some point, have phases of doubt. Is it justified? Everyone needs a mentor or AKA an OG in their life, and have other people around you who know more than you do. And don't be afraid to have that in your space. Another one, there's nothing out of culture for me. Our people need to take the shackles out of our minds, and don't wait for someone else in your culture to do the things that you want to do first. Like all the things that we discuss in the mountains,
Yeah.
the wilderness, all that good stuff. So,
You be the one that gives them permission to do it.
mm,
Besides that, how much fun are you gonna have following other people? Give me a break. Isn't there stuff that you want to do that nobody around you is doing? I don't care what culture you live in.
so true.
And vice versa. There might be things that you see people do. It's like, I want to do that. No interest whatsoever. It's not what just doesn't turn me on.
Yeah. And there you have it. Once again, EM Arts, Education, and Wellness. Thank you, Emory, for coming, joining, sharing, giving us all good vibes and positivity to make the rest of our journey positive. So hopefully you'll come back again and talk more and give us more, and we'll see how we'll be able to support one another. Do not hesitate, Instagram folks, sharing information, being a resource, or just saying hello, because we are all in this space of trying to do good for this world. So, Emery, thank you
Mhm.
so much.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. And wherever I can assist or give value, we will do that. Myself and my team would be more than happy to be at your disposal. You're doing fantastic things, and thank you for taking the time because I know you got a lot going on too, and you don't have to be doing this. So thank you for listening to me and my crazy self.
It's not crazy at all. That it is it is like this was a good way to begin my day. Good day. So thank you so much. We'll see you again soon and talk to you later.
We'll be in touch.
Okay. So there you have it. There you have it. Shout out to Monty for picking all the good speakers. That's so good, so good, so good. But I won't leave you without sharing, some additional resources that we have. Like to share that, if you are in business, we do have a number of chambers of commerce throughout the 5 borough, upstate New York. Shout out to Upstate New York Black Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce. Those are ways in which you can help to build relationship. They're out there, membership-based organizations. Also, if you are interested in want to be featured or consider partnering with us in this space through the real journey of entrepreneurship, please do not hesitate to give us a call, 718-691-8966, or you can definitely email us at info@11375.com. If you need to reach us, you know where to find us. We are on all the social platforms. You can reach out to us, DM us, or you can visit us at our website at 11375.com. And if you need a mentor, please do not hesitate to reach me through SCORE. You can look on score.org. I'm one of the mentors based out of New York. We would love to help to support you in your process of figuring out this space on your journey. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Please be sure to connect with Emory and his team, and we would love to see you again soon. Please do not forget to share, like, and follow us on our social platforms, and also check out our podcast as well, The Real Journey of the Entrepreneur. And we will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Welcome to 11375. My name is Anita Pierce, and I am the owner of a New York-based MWBE certified business consultancy. We focus on business education for startups, and we also connect mid-sized companies, corporations, community-based organizations, and government agencies to foster affordable solutions that will allow your business to flourish. We elevate the awareness of our communities with regards to financial, mental, and also economic wellness. Some of our services include project management, training and facilitation, stakeholder engagement, and also advocacy within the business community. If you're interested in some of our services or all of them, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're on all of the social platforms at 11375, or you can check us out at our website at 11375.com. We look forward to supporting you and your business goals.